please.
Gurmagat Ceann Comhairle, and I'm glad to speak today for Labour to pay tribute to Austin Currie, a politician and civil rights campaigner who leaves a tremendous legacy, and of course who had the extraordinary achievement of having served as minister in both jurisdictions on this island. Reviewing the remarkable journey of Austin Currie's life and his strong legacy on peace and integration, one can only imagine what it must have been like for him at such a young age, at 24, to take a seat in the then unreformed Stormont Parliament, having won the 1964 by-election in East Tyrone. I can't imagine what that was like. At a time when there was blatant discrimination, as we know, structural discrimination against Catholics in Northern Ireland, and particularly in the allocation of public housing, an issue that was to form a huge influence, as we know, on his politics and on his campaigning work. And in 1968, the well-documented sit-in at the new council estate in Caledon shone a light for Austin Currie, and I think for all on the island, on what was happening across Northern Ireland, and brought much increased public attention to the deep discrimination faced by Catholics and to the political situation there. And speaking on the issue beforehand in Stormont, of course, Austin Currie had said those famous words, "All hell would break loose." And these were very prescient words indeed, because as we know, the fallout from that protest and that political context led to the formation of the Northern Ireland Civil Rights Movement. And following that, as we saw, unfortunately, the terrible violence of the Troubles erupt, Austin was to go on to form the SDLP, along with his colleagues Seamus Mallon, Jerry Fitt, and of course John and Pat Hume. And like them, he was a man of peace who abhorred the violence of the Troubles, who remained committed to non-violence despite the enormous toll it took on his own family, with constant threats and over 30 attacks on his family home and indeed on his own family members and his beloved wife Anita. And we know that these were the things that led him to move his family ultimately to take refuge here in this jurisdiction, where of course he served as a TD for many years and indeed was to serve as Minister for State for Children in the Rainbow Coalition between 1994 and 97, and the Taoiseach has remarked how Niamh Brannock, Labour Minister for Education in that coalition, paid tribute to his work on the rights of children. Another colleague of mine, our former Labour leader Joan Burton, who was of course a constituency colleague of Austin's, shared with me the anecdote that when he first came to run for Fine Gael in Dublin West, Vincent Browne asked him about his knowledge of the geography of the constituency, at a time when he would not have been an expert on that, to put it politely. But once elected, as Joan acknowledges, he became a very, very particular expert on the highways and byways of Dublin West and developed a detailed mastery of constituency issues there, remaining a TD until 2002. And of course, as the Fine Gael candidate in the 1990 presidential election, he was extraordinarily generous to our successful Labour candidate, Mary Robinson, recommending transfers to her unstintingly right up until polling day. And we remember him for that too. So I want to pay tribute today on behalf of Labour to Austin's family, to Anita, to your children, Estelle, Katrina, Dúilta, Austin Og, and of course to Emer, our Oireachtas colleague, and I think I'm the only member here, Ceann Comhairle, who has had the pleasure of serving with Emer in the Seanad until my by-election last summer, and it was a real pleasure to serve with you in the Upper House, Emer, and to continue to work with you on the Work Equal campaign and on other campaigns on which we share a common interest. I also want to just express my condolences and those of Labour to your extended family, to Austin's grandchildren, siblings, relatives and friends. May Austin rest in peace, knowing that his efforts helped to bring peace and reconciliation across this island.